Hello, and thanks for joining today's discussion and demo on NetSuite for the software industry.
I am pleased to be able to introduce you today to our NeoSystems NetSuite team and share with you why the partnership of NeoSystems and NetSuite is uniquely positioned to support the software industry. So let's turn to our agenda. Let's kick off by introducing you to your hosts for today and to NeoSystems in general. We'll then address the learning objectives of our time together and proceed with an introduction to NetSuite, which will allow you to gain a foundational understanding of the product before we do the demonstration. We'll then allow some time at the end for closing thoughts and questions as we wrap things up. So without further delay, let's meet your host for today. I'm Kevin Brandt. While I'm not emceeing webinars, I serve as the Vice President of NeoSystems Solution Delivery Practice, where I'm responsible for oversight of our NetSuite solution offering. I personally have been overseeing delivery of business system solutions, including ERP, CRM, etc., for over 12 years. Having had many software providers as clients myself, I'm very excited to bring you today's webinar describing how NetSuite can help drive efficiency and therefore profitability to those in the software development industry. Also with me is Amy Kankowitz. Amy is a senior client executive at NeoSystems with over 10 years experience in helping clients advance their organizations by maximizing business management systems and human capital resources. Since starting with Neo 4 years ago, Amy has helped over 270 organizations craft solutions that have improved operational efficiencies, promoted business growth, and enabled better service to end clients. I can personally vouch for that, having participated on many of those with her. She will be walking us through the benefits of a NetSuite solution, specifically in the software space. Finally, last but not least, we are joined by Sheila Tomlinson, a principal solutions consultant at NeoSystems with over 15 years experience in providing business management system and accounting and finance consulting services. As you'll find out, Sheila is a wealth of knowledge with specific expertise around the use of NetSuite in the software vertical. We're obviously pleased to have her lead the demo portion of today's webinar. Together, along with 182 of our other colleagues, a number which seems to be changing every day as we grow, we are NeoSystems, an employee-owned, award-winning business process or outsourcing or BPO provider. We at Neo have also referred to it as Managed Accounting Services or MAS in the past. Along with our BPO offerings, we're also a leader in implementation of business management systems with hundreds of implementations of business system solutions to our credit. Our core competency is providing services and solutions to complex, competitive, and highly regulated industries such as yours. As you can see on this slide, we currently serve over 700 clients and approximately 50,000 users. So we've come a long, long way since our inception in 2003. As a result of our roots in BPO and our extensive accounting and finance consulting experience, we know what it takes to run a compliant business with access to accurate, timely, and reliable financial data. Much like you are doing now, we ourselves went through a very rigorous selection process in choosing a platform to support our commercial BPO clients. As in that role, we are daily users of the system. So after careful analysis of the market, it was clear that NetSuite was in a league of their own and aligned most closely with our mission to help clients become more profitable, efficient, and better equipped to win new business and serve their own clients. We certainly wouldn't endorse a product that we didn't believe in or didn't use ourselves on a daily basis. So our learning objectives for today. Our intent is that by the end of this webinar, you will have been educated with these key takeaways. 1, NetSuite's ability to address multiple revenue streams, which will include perpetual license revenue, subscription license revenue, revenue based on usage-based billings, professional services revenue, and maintenance and support revenue. 2, NetSuite's ability to manage recurring revenue streams and contract renewals. 3, NetSuite's ability to use multi-book functionality to support multiple revenue recognition models. For example, this will assist you with compliance around revenue recognition standards like the new Accounting Standards Update 2014-09. 4, NetSuite's ability to provide you with instant analysis of what's happening across your entire organization, a 360-degree view, leveraging real-time actionable metrics to help predict where your business needs to be tomorrow and into the future. 5, NetSuite's ability to reduce your operational costs by moving from your fragmented business systems you have today to a unified, award-winning, flexible suite. So we're going to share a lot of information in a short period of time today, but obviously NetSuite is a robust application. There's a substantial amount of functionality we won't be able to cover in the next hour. So following today's session, we welcome one-on-one discussions specific to your organization's requirements. At that time, we can dive deeper into the features within NetSuite that almost 1,000 software companies are using on a daily basis today. And one last point before we move on, I mentioned that NetSuite was robust, and there is a lot of functionality. That doesn't mean it's complicated or cumbersome. NetSuite, as you'll see in Sheila's demo, is very agile and easy to navigate. We like to say that customizations can be made by mere mortals. It doesn't require Superman or even a coder or a developer to execute. I know Amy will address this in her overview of NetSuite. So let's transition to that overview now with Amy Kankowitz. Amy?
Thanks, Kevin. By now, I believe most of the market has heard of NetSuite. For those of you less familiar, NetSuite is a unified solution, a complete business suite that includes ERP financials, budgeting, forecasting, and modeling capabilities, advanced dashboards, timesheet and expense management, resource planning, customer relationship management, and e-commerce capabilities. This unified platform means that everyone within your organization operates off the same data, regardless of their functional area, giving everyone one version of the truth. NetSuite is the world's most deployed cloud ERP. It is used by over 20,000 organizations across over 110 countries, supporting over 190 currencies, with out-of-the-box comprehensive indirect tax management and reporting capabilities that cover 90% of the GDP. Gartner identified NetSuite as the fastest-growing top ERP provider for 4 years running. Among NetSuite's accolades are multiple CODiE awards, including Best Financial Management Solution, Best Project Management Solution, and Best E-commerce Solution. Nearly 1,000 software companies run their businesses on NetSuite, including NetSuite themselves. And if I may just comment that some of NetSuite's competitors don't even use their own software applications for their internal operations. I personally feel this is pretty telling. Anyway, as a software company themselves, NetSuite understands the software-specific capabilities that companies like yours need to drive innovation and growth, while ensuring streamlined billing and renewal processes, accurate financial reporting, and the ability to meet complex revenue recognition requirements. Being a cloud-based application, NetSuite lowers the total cost of ownership by eliminating costs for on-premise servers, license fees, maintenance, and on-site IT support. It's hard to identify a business sector more dynamic and challenging than the software industry. Everything from how software is created, sold, delivered, utilized for business, revenue is recognized, clients are renewed, the list goes on. NetSuite understands that companies in this sector need to ensure that their business operations are as agile and dynamic as the industry in which they compete. NetSuite is committed to helping software companies tackle these challenges and thrive in a continually evolving environment. Let's take a look at some of the statistics based on feedback from existing software companies that use NetSuite. NetSuite clients report that they experienced a 55 to 80% increase in visibility across their organizations and gained actionable insights. Clients also reported that they decreased the time it takes for collections and accounts receivables by 30 to 50%. You can see that the statistics presented here are impressive. And by the way, this data was all gathered from an independent firm that interviewed existing NetSuite clients. We realize there's a lot of information here and that this is a bit of an eye chart, so we'll gladly send you these slides at the end of today's webinar. Our last slide for today will contain our contact information and how to reach us, so please don't hesitate. So we've provided an overview on NetSuite's positive impact on clients, but we haven't discussed how. How is NetSuite able to help software companies realize these results? Well, it comes down to 5 fundamental tenets. Tenet number 1, NetSuite is designed for modern business. What does that really mean? It means the cloud. A cloud-based solution allows you to concentrate on operating and growing your business, focusing on innovation, rather than being bogged down by concerns about infrastructure, security, and maintenance. The cloud means that business metrics can be accessed anytime from anywhere. NetSuite clients can check order status, file expense reports, review customer invoices, etc. from any mobile device. They can also collaborate across their distributed teams with built-in social tools. Tenet number 2, with NetSuite, flexibility is built in. Thanks to the cloud and a robust single code base, functional enhancements to the software can be rapidly and seamlessly deployed. So, if, for example, there are changes to regulatory requirements like, say, tax rates or statutory reporting changes, NetSuite can quickly and smoothly push these out. For the user, NetSuite has built-in flexibility, allowing you to configure and customize with easy-to-use point-and-click tools. Users can adjust workflows and processes without involving IT. It's important to note, too, that any of the configurations that you make or customizations you make are automatically carried forward with upgrades. Tenet number 3, business intelligence is for all users. NetSuite helps eliminate making decisions based on out-of-date data by giving users real-time visibility into operations, trends, and risks. From your personalized dashboard, you can instantly drill down to see underlying transaction data and take action. You can also predict where your business needs to be by modeling what-if scenarios. Tenet number 4, NetSuite comes commerce ready. When we look at commerce, there are 2 parts. Part 1, delivering the front-end experience to your customer or your partner or your vendor, and Part 2, your internal operations or back office. Traditionally, these 2 parts have existed in separate operational systems, resulting in numerous inefficiencies and data inconsistencies. With NetSuite's unified platform, you have a single system of record, creating a seamless end-to-end experience and allowing you to capture key data across the entire lifecycle. This provides everyone within your organization that single version of the truth. Tenet number 5, it just works. With 20,000 organizations relying on NetSuite every day, you can be confident that NetSuite can handle the scale of your business. From a technology perspective, you are probably wondering about uptime, security, and scalability. NetSuite offers SLAs to guarantee these critical components. And with nearly $500 million in revenue, they have the financials to continually invest in state-of-the-art infrastructure and leading security certifications. So in summary, it is these 5 tenets that enable NetSuite clients to achieve the positive results that we saw in the previous slide. So we now know the 5 tenets that make NetSuite a unique solution that has helped clients improve accounting staff productivity by 25 to 50% and improve order processing efficiencies by 40 to 60%. As we begin to transition to the demo portion of today's webinar, I wanted to point out the functionality within NetSuite that is specifically important to the software industry. Revenue recognition. NetSuite addresses multiple revenue streams: perpetual licenses, subscription license, usage-based billings, professional services, maintenance, support. NetSuite also helps organizations manage recurring revenue streams and contract renewals. NetSuite facilitates multiple revenue recognition models and allows for compliance with revenue recognition standards like the new Accounting Standards Update, ASU 2014-09, using functionality like multi-book. NetSuite has controls built in that support SOX compliance. And as you can read on the center of the slide, there's functionality within NetSuite that supports billing, the capture and management, of time and expense, issue tracking, and order fulfillment. Let's also take one quick look at the workflows that are native to NetSuite. These predefined workflows help software companies realize benefits such as reducing customer acquisition costs, increasing sales productivity, reducing cycle times, ensuring compliance, improving cash conversion, improving project profitability, improving customer satisfaction, and of course driving efficiencies in the back office. There's a lot of information on this slide, so again, I'd like to repeat that we will send you a copy of this presentation afterwards so you can truly digest this information. Well, our point over the past few slides was to help provide you with a good foundational understanding as we move forward with the demo. So without further delay, I'd like to turn the reins over to Sheila, who will walk us through this demo.
Thanks, Amy. So for our demonstration today, we'll actually be focusing on software industry-specific pain points that NetSuite resolves. We'll go through a demo flow where I'll actually explain to you a little bit more about our NetSuite environment that we'll be presenting. We'll have a live demonstration, and we'll wrap up with some final thoughts and questions. So as far as pain points being resolved, things that we're going to be talking about in detail today focus around the fact that NetSuite enables us real-time to do the analysis across our organization. And this is a pain point we hear over and over from software clients. The demo capability within NetSuite will actually go through the dashboard capabilities. We'll focus on the shortcuts, the reminders, the KPIs, and all that information that will be available to us in the dashboard. We'll also be reviewing multi-company and multi-currency income reporting and focus there. We'll also look at operational costs that will be reduced by moving to a unified platform. So within the demonstration today, we'll actually look at an end-to-end order-to-cash process by entering a sales order all the way through creating the invoice, collecting cash, and posting revenue. The system also readily addresses the multiple revenue streams. We'll create a perpetual license with annual support on the sales order, and you'll be able to see how the system handles the deferred revenue associated with the sales order and the maintenance agreement. We'll show how NetSuite facilitates the changing revenue reporting requirements that we're constantly facing, and we'll actually show you a VSOE carve-out where we enter a perpetual license, and we'll see if we decided to give that support out for free for the first year, how the system will automatically create that VSOE carve-out for us. We'll demonstrate the system managing reoccurring revenue schedules, reorganize license and deferred annual support revenue, and review the contract renewal process, which is a huge area that a lot of software folks deal with and try to stay diligent with. As far as our flow, you'll notice in NetSuite right away when we get in the system that access to each screen is role-based. So I have two roles that we'll be getting into today for end-to-end software company. The first role will be Controller for US West. That role has a majority of access to most of the features and functions we'll be displaying today, but we will also move into the CFO role where we'll actually approve an invoice created by the controller. So you'll see a movement back and forth between the roles. Spend a lot of time in the dashboard, which is our home base, if you will, when we're in the system. And we'll spend time on key performance indicators, talking a little bit about those and how those were set up for the custom dashboard that we'll be presenting. We'll spend time with global functionality and reporting, and then actually do an end-to-end process, sales order, invoice, payment, and recognition of revenue in our process. So we'll see that end-to-end seamless integration between those various functional areas. And then we'll end on contract renewal, which again is an area that we want to focus on because it is such a sore spot for software companies. So with that, we'll actually jump into NetSuite. All right, so where you'll see here is I'm actually logged into the system, and up here in the right-hand corner, you'll see a number of roles that are assigned to me. Currently, I'm assigned as Brian Sullivan, who is the Controller for US West. That's my home role. Most folks that use NetSuite have two roles assigned to them. One is their primary role, which you see here, and then they'll also have an Employee Center role where they go in and fill out their expense reports and timesheets. So we'll also be using this CFO role as well today for that approval that I discussed. So for most of the demo, we're going to be operating as Brian Sullivan, okay? So where I've landed when I first come into the system is at the NetSuite dashboard, home dashboard. And going left to right, what you'll see is I've organized my dashboard customly for me to accommodate my day as controller. And I have identified on the left-hand side reminders. And this is a place where I can do that actionable metric. I can actually drill in, pick up journals that I need to approve them right on the fly from here. I can go down to individual journal entries and approve them, or I can approve a full list of journal entries, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what the reminders does for me. I definitely like this key performance indicator here in the middle that is an area that I'm constantly reviewing as a controller. I'm looking at these key metrics for expenses, profit, receivables, payables, and bank balance, and their changes. So I'm actually comparing the current period to previous period, and I have a net change here, so I can quickly tell by my arrows whether I'm in good standing or in negative standing based on my alerts here. If I want to get into more details on a specific area, let's say I'm interested in where that bank balance is, I can actually look at that graphically. So you'll notice the graph here with a little bit more detail on that metric. Okay. I also have focused on one of my favorite items, which is profit, here on the right-hand side in this KPI meter. So I can quickly look at this real time and see what my latest profit numbers are. We'll spend more time today in the demo area. We'll get into this tile, and I'll come back to this and explain this a little bit more to you. I have a saved custom search here that I use on a very frequent basis pertaining to my contract renewals. And I have shortcuts here on the right-hand side that I use to access my key reports frequently and often. So we'll be using that today as well. So in essence, from this dashboard, I'm able to get to all of the things that I need to access throughout my day very quickly, very easily, and I'm able to customize it to meet my needs. Each one of these little box areas is called a portlet in NetSuite, and we'll spend time talking about each one of these portlets. So let's start out with one of my favorite statements, financial statements in NetSuite, and that's the income statement. So you'll notice that the first thing that comes up for me is I've already set my parameters to be this fiscal year. You're seeing a consolidated financial statement, January to December 2015, for all of my entities within my consolidated headquarters financial statement. And what you're looking at today is the NetSuite One World account. And within that, I actually have a number of legal entities all being rolled together simultaneously in this income statement. So I'm going to change my view quickly here and show you what it would look like to spread this financial across the entities. So take note before I do that, revenue is reported here at $23 million, and my expenses, if I pull this down just a tad, are listed at 6.1, and our net income is landing at 10.7. So let's take a look at where all that's coming from by subsidiary. I simply select subsidiary hierarchy and refresh. And now you're seeing that same $23 million in revenue, but now spread across all of my entities within this database. So I've got Canada, US East, US West, Australia, Germany, United Kingdom, and so forth. So you're seeing where all of that income's coming from. I'm finding out who's making all the expenses here in terms of total expense. And I've got my net income at the bottom. So those all tie out in total. Now, if I wanted to drill down specifically into Germany, I could do that from here. And I'll change my settings just for criteria and change my entity to Germany and hit refresh. And now what you're seeing is you're seeing the income statement specifically for Germany in the euro. So in the native currency for Germany. Now it's important to note that when I'm looking at the financial statement, income statement in NetSuite, I'm looking at an average exchange rate for that period of January to December when I'm looking at it. The posted transactions, however, post at the exchange rate for that day. So since I'm running a period of time, I'm using an average display here. But for transactions themselves, they're posted with the day's exchange rate. So right here in one set of reports, you're looking at a complete consolidation of multiple entity company, along with the consolidation of exchange rates and those being rolled up into the corporate level. So you're looking at Germany here in euro. I'm going to change this now back up to headquarters. And I'm going to just show you what Germany looks like USD. And refresh. And now you're seeing the exchange and in USD, the dollars for Germany. Okay. One more change here in my total. And I have backup consolidated income statement. Okay? So quickly and easily I'm able to get to drill through where's this revenue coming from, what legal entity, can I look at it in foreign currency, how does that roll up into USD, all in one financial statement. So as you can tell, I like that. I like that report. Now, I want to also show you another report that I find to be very useful for software companies, and that's the billing and revenue summary. There's a tremendous amount of data in this custom report. I'm going to pull up one of my favorite customers, Above the Cloud. And specifically, I want to look at one of these sales orders. So today, let's take a look at this sales order 3193. And notice that we have a total billed amount on 3193 of $100,000. So that's the amount of the licenses, and we'll get into the details in just a moment. We also have recognized revenue of $76,000. So this is going to be an example of that VSOE carve-out that I mentioned earlier. Then we have the total deferred revenue, $23,900, showing. So let's get into some details here. Drill through by simply clicking the sales order. And what we'll see is the form will show up automatically for us for this sales order. And this was the sales order that was entered in the system, and I can tell literally at the top of the sales order what the status is on that sales order. So I'm in build mode here, so that means that this particular sales order has already been invoiced, and that's where we are in the workflow process. So that gives me a great amount of information right there, right on the sales order. So I know in NetSuite that if I have invoiced the sales order, that it will automatically create for me a GL impact, as well as show me a revenue recognition schedule. So we'll show those to you in just a second. So in this sales order, you're going to notice a couple of things. There's a contract number assigned, and in NetSuite, as soon as I save a sales order, it's going to automatically create that contract and track all activity against that contract automatically for me in the system. We also notice the items here in the middle, AAA perpetual license, as well as the annual support. And what I said before was we've actually got a VSOE carve-out here where we decided to give that first year of maintenance support away for free. And knowing that that support actually has a true value, the system backs into VSOE and attributes $25,000 of that amount, 100, to the support maintenance agreement. Okay? So we're able to recognize the revenue for the sale of the licenses here automatically. However, this $25,000 will then be tiered out over the period of the contract, which is a term of 12 months. Okay? So if I get into my revenue recognition schedule, we'll be able to see that waterfall. So in this revenue recognition schedule, we're actually seeing that support revenue spread over the 12-month period. And my first recognition to pick up will be for the month of June, 1,092. Okay, so a lot of information for us right here in click through and drill down. So that's a little bit about how to drill into what's been billed, what's been accrued in revenue, what's outstanding for deferred revenue, and how that's scheduled out over time. I'm going to head back to our dashboard. So those are a couple of the reports that I use all the time throughout my day as controller. On the left-hand side here, you'll also see reminders, and this is an area where I get a full list of what I need to get done typically that day. So in this list, you're going to see intercompany journal entries, so we'll spend a little time there. We're also going to see some activity under revenue recognition, which we would do at month end. That's certainly going to impact the revenue that I'm seeing and my numbers and my metrics, as well as my profit meter here. Okay? So let's look at intercompany journal entries. So I get a reminder that I have to approve a journal entry, and you'll see a list of journal entries here, and I have the option in this screen to actually approve all of these or continue the workflow from here. For the purposes of our demo, I'm going to jump into journal entry number 93, and I want to show you just a little bit more detail on that journal entry. So this is our second drill through. We're now down on the actual journal entry form. This is the form that was filled out for the intercompany journal entry. And you're beginning to see how transactions transpire between various legal entities and how NetSuite handles them. So what we're seeing in the body of this journal entry is that the U.S. West legal entity actually procured expenses on behalf of the United Kingdom. And that, in fact, is, oops, my hand's too quick. That, in fact, is what we're seeing in terms of the journal entry. And in addition to that, I have marked this as ready for elimination at month end. So the consolidation has been handled. The intercompany transaction has been covered in this one form. Okay? So from here, I could take next steps. I could approve whatever it is in my business day that I need to get done. Back up to our dashboard. Okay. So now we've spent time looking at all these various portlets within the dashboard. I just wanted to go over quickly and surmise what it is that we've talked about so far. So we talked about the ability to have access to real-time actionable metrics. So right here, I'm able to go in and take a look at my expenses, drill into my income statement, check out where those expenses came across my legal entities. I can do research on the various changes from here by drilling through, as well as under reminders, I also have other identification areas here that I can go in and take action on. So we talked about intercompany journal entries, actually pulling those up, the ones that need to be approved, and approving them there. So you see right here, I can get through into a lot of data that I need to do the analysis that I have throughout my day. So at this point, I would like to take you into the order-to-cash process, which you can see that functional ease of integration between the various areas of that process. So I'm going to enter a sales order here. So I've got right at my fingertips here the ability to go in and create a new sales order. I'm going to use that same customer we talked about earlier. So I'm going to populate above the cloud here. Notice that when I enter my customer, a number of things default into my form automatically for me. So the system already knows, because of that customer record, that it's part of the U.S. West subsidiary. In addition, it's automatically going to populate that this is a normal sales order, so we're going to enter a normal, regular sales order for today. There are a number of other forms that we could use as well, customized or COTS. Under the contracts area, you'll notice that there is a start and end date for a contract, and I'm happy with that date of June 1st, so I'm going to leave that alone. You'll notice the system is automatically populating my sales order for me. My sales order number is 3202. Okay? It's got me into a status of pending approval, and I'm going to go ahead and add our first item to the sales order. I'm going to enter a perpetual license, as we talked about before. I promised you I would do a bundle. So once I enter my license, I want to talk to you a little bit about price lists. So we have a tremendous capability in NetSuite to add a number of price lists into the system. And you'll notice right away, once I enter a quantity of 10, my default, based on my item, is base price list, and it's going to come up with a rate of $10,000 per item. That rate is then extended to $100,000 based on the quantity. Okay? So if I were to change this price list to, let's say, corporate rate, you'll notice automatically the system knows to convert that to the corporate rate 8,000 and has extended the value to 80,000. In addition, I could change my quantity to, let's say, 11. And you're going to notice something else change here. It's going to actually take into consideration that quantity. Once we went over the 10, it's going to now increase our number to 11 and then put us into the discounted quantity discount price list. So we went down to 6,500. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to keep it real simple and straightforward for our demo. I'm going to use a quantity of 10, nice round number, and our base of 10,000. So we're looking at 100,000 in extended value. I'm going to add this. I'm going to put our support in. And you'll notice when I save this, the system already knows the value of my support is 25,000. So it's going to price it accordingly based on what I have entered in the system. Now, let's say, for example, for this particular sales order, we're going to give that first year of support away for free. So we can do that easily as well. Change this to custom. And now our system has reduced the value here. I'm going to say OK. Now, interestingly enough, what the system has done for us is it knows that that support was valued at $25,000, so it's going to do that carve out like I showed you on the original example when I pulled up that sales order. So it's showing you $25,000 is attributed to the maintenance and $75,000 to license. So what I want to do now is actually deliver this so that we can invoice. Okay. And we'll save our sales order. So in NetSuite, one of the nice things about the work process flow is as we move through the work process flow, you're going to see the system has now saved the sales order. It puts us into the next step in our workflow, which is approval. The controller for US West does have access in the system to approve their own sales orders. So the easiest way for me is to approve right here from this screen, just selecting the approve button. There are a number of ways of approving sales orders. You could make them a reminder and select a full list and approve them all at once. Or for the purpose of ease for today's demonstration, I'll approve it here. So NetSuite is going to actually take the information that we have put into the system and transfer it throughout the work process flow. So it's going to take that form information and transfer it to the next phase of the workflow. So now what you're noticing is the system has now identified the sales order as approved, and it has changed our workflow status to pending billing. So literally from this point forward, I can go ahead and bill because we have checked the box that it was delivered. So I'm going to select next bill. And the system is going to transfer all that neat information from the sales order right into my invoice. It's creating an invoice for me, number 802. And being the good approver, I'm just going to review it here, make sure I like the dates, make sure I agree with what's being put in the system for perpetual license and support. Everything looks very fine, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. So the system has now saved the invoice. Now, as I promised you before, the role of controller for US West does not have access to approve their own invoice, and that's intentional. We wanted to give you an idea of how segregation of duties would and could work within NetSuite. So I have given that access to the CFO role, so we're going to switch over there. And you'll notice it was that easy to give myself a promotion. So now you'll notice that Sheila Tomlinson is the CFO in the system. And I've got a different color here. I like this color scheme. It's a little brighter for the CFO. It has specifics around SaaS metrics so we can compare ourselves to other industry standards here on the screen. So things that are focused and important to the CFO role. I'm going to go under Invoice Approvals under Reminders. And I should see my invoice here, 802, and I do. So as CFO, I'm going to pull up the invoice, and I'm going to use my workflow here to quickly approve the invoice and move us on in our process. So you notice here my status is pending approval, and I'm just going to look over my invoice to make sure everything looks good. Yes, we have our carve out, license amount, everything looks fine. I'm going to go ahead and approve. So the next step in our work process flow is approving that invoice, and now you'll notice that my status has changed to approved, and it's actually ready for accepting of payment. I'm actually going to hand it back over to the controller role and let them finish the process out, where we'll accept payment, talk about revenue recognition, and all that good stuff. So let's move back over to our controller US West. And I can go in a number of ways to get to that invoice to take it on in the process. But I think at this point what I'd like to do is just go to my recent records. That's also an easy way to get to what I've recently worked on. And I'm going to select that invoice 802 that we just created. And I'm going to check and make sure the CFO did her job, and she did. It is open and ready for payment. A couple things I want to mention at this point, though. Things have changed on this sales order and invoice. I can now go in and look at my GL impact, and I will actually see a change here. The system has reversed the entire license subscription revenue and accrued my revenue based on the VSOE carve-out. So you'll notice that it reversed the subscription revenue here and then reattributed $80,000 to license, and now we have a deferred portion of $20,000 that will be spread over that 12-month period. Okay? So from here, it's easy enough to accept payment if I wish to do that next. Or before I do that, I do want to show you one other quick button here. I think we've looked at this one other time, but once we've saved the invoice, the revenue recognition schedule that we've identified in our defaults for the item is now coming up for this support maintenance agreement. So we noticed that first month of June we have $1,639.34. So that is an amount that we could accrue in the month of June for this sales order and invoice. Okay? So let's go ahead and accept some cash here. The easiest way to do that is just hit the accept payment button. And I'm going to identify a method of payment. Cash is the easiest way. And I'm going to go back to apply, and I'm going to apply that to the invoice that we just approved. And that's number 802. Okay? Select that. It says I'm going to apply $100,000 and save. So now what we've done is actually accounted for the cash we received and identified that against our invoice and applied it. And now in our work process flow, what we have next is the system is looking for us to deposit that cash in the bank. So that's part of our workflow with cash transactions. I'm actually going to let the AR specialist handle the deposit to the bank. But for the purposes of what we were trying to discuss today and what I was trying to present to you, we actually did go through the complete process of order to cash. We entered the sales order. We created the invoice. We posted the invoice, approved it. We actually accepted payment on it. And in fact, we have a journal sitting out here. And I'll go back to our dashboard. Under revenue recognition entries. And at some point during the month, we're going to want to take that additional maintenance support revenue. So if I look at my invoice, 802, you'll notice my schedule has here waiting and ready for me that month of June maintenance support revenue. So you have it here, and we can post it easily by checking here and creating our journal entry. The system will quickly create that entry for us. I could actually go in and view my entry. So my journal entry 660 is right in front of me with my journal entry form. I have my debit, deferred revenue, and my credit to actually moving it from deferred revenue into my maintenance revenue of $1,639.34. So that's your entire cycle, including your revenue recognition for that reoccurring revenue. Okay, so a couple other things before I let you go. I do want to talk to you a little bit about some additional reporting capability in the system, as well as spend a little bit of time digging into contract renewals, because I know that is such a sore spot for software clients. So one thing I wanted to show you, and I'm just going to pull my income statement up again, because again, I said that was my favorite. I want to show you how you can actually export this to Excel. So my income statement that I showed you before across all my legal entities is here, and it's really easy to export this. I can just hit the button here, Export to Excel, which I'll do in just a moment so you can see how it all translates. I could schedule this to be sent out to my project managers on a regular basis. I could email it to a specific bank or whomever I need to, or print it obviously from here. So let's download to Excel. I'm going to pull it up in Excel so you can see it there. And what I really like about this is with every other system I've used, I've had to translate all of the formulas or recreate all of the formulas again. But it's not that way with NetSuite. In NetSuite, it actually, whatever was generated in NetSuite in terms of formulas, that comes down with the data too. So I don't have to redo that. So I wanted to share that with you because I think it just makes life so much easier to have a true export to Excel where we can then go in and manipulate the data even further and actually get it out to the various people that need it in that format. So finally today, I want to spend a little bit more time on contract renewals. And I promised you at the beginning that I would tell you what this flashing tile is over here on the left-hand side. So what I've done is created an alert for myself. And I'm constantly, as the controller, looking at where we are with our renewal rate. And in this particular company, end-to-end software, we actually have an average renewal rate of 80%. So I've set up this tile to alert me, flash as it does, and indicate an odd color over here that I'm going to pick up very quickly, that I'm under 80%. And right now it's showing that I'm at 75%. So I'm going to drill into that because I want to know why I'm under my average. What I've done is coded the system to actually highlight for me in blue any of my legal entities that are under that 80% average. And in just looking at this quick review, I'm seeing that my renewal rate is specifically low in the United Kingdom. And that's concerning to me because the United Kingdom is usually over 80%. So let's take a look deeper into this. Drilling into United Kingdom, and I'm actually seeing a list of my contracts, my bill to customer, my end user, for all of the companies that I work with or that we work with as customers, and those that have an amount up for renewal. Two big ones here are the Hamilton Enterprises as well as the Gabriel Solutions. Looks like this $400,000 for Gabriel Solutions is really one of the biggest culprits. So let's drill into this a little bit more. On my dashboard, I've created a special saved custom search that'll tell me any upcoming renewal that is greater than $100,000. So I could sort of start by exception, ticking down the bigger renewals to kind of do my analysis and review where we're at. So you'll notice here we have one for that Gabriel Solutions, $792,000. That's a big portion of that renewal rate. I'd like to drill into this a little bit more. I'm going to select that sales order. The system's going to automatically pull up that sales order for me with all of its details. And just reviewing the header information here, I noticed a couple things. It's sales order 2985, which we noted up on the top report. There's a case escalated here. That could be suspect. I also see that this is actually a renewal of an original contract. So the from original contract was 2014. The new contract is 2015. And I have my items here on my sales order, and I notice my value is at $660,000. Now, what I want to be sure is I have a lot of trouble with the ensuring that we get that uplift with our renewals. So I just want to drill in and see if this is in fact an uplift to my original contract. So I simply select my original contract here, and all of my information associated with that contract will pop up, and you're going to see the original sales order, number 2983. And you'll also notice my value was originally $600,000. So automatically I can tell that my sales order has been entered properly for the new sales order. It has that $60,000 uplift, which is 10%. But I think I understand why I'm having a problem with the renewal rate with Gabriel Solutions. It looks like we have a case escalated. And what I'd like to share with you is that because NetSuite is a completely integrated system, I can absolutely access CRM information. I could go in and pull up the notes associated with this case. I could also see what touch points we've had with that customer to find out what's the latest activity with the customer. And I'm going to make a note right now to reach out to my VP of Sales Operations to get a little more information on this. And perhaps in the future we could spend some time demonstrating the robust capabilities of the CRM and how it integrates with all the other apps within NetSuite. So with that, I think we've covered as much as we can cover for today. And I just want to recap a little bit so we can review what it is that we did go over today. So I like to always say I like to answer the mail, and I think we did in today's demonstration. So I think we displayed for you real-time analysis via the dashboards. We showed the global and international reporting capabilities, the seamless integration of the software company's end-to-end order-to-cash process, as well as how easily it is to track where we are with renewals and to gain the access we need for the analysis around those. We addressed revenue recognition for non-SaaS software. There's so much more that can be addressed within NetSuite. We just simply don't have the time today to do that, but we're happy to do it in a follow-on demo. We did go over licenses and support via VSOE bundles, recognized reoccurring revenue, that maintenance support revenue that we went through and booked for the month, as well as moving from deferred revenue into actual revenue for support maintenance agreements. So hopefully that covers what we had planned to cover today in the demonstration, and I'd like to turn it over to Amy for a little bit more on recap.
Thanks, Sheila. Well, we hope through our presentation and through Sheila's demo that you can see how NetSuite was able to achieve these benefits for their clients. Hopefully, you also now understand why the latest Gartner research on the top 10 financial management systems identifies NetSuite as the vendor growing market share the fastest globally. In this slide, you can also see that NetSuite is actively taking away market share from established vendors like SAP, Oracle, and Sage, as noted by their negative growth rates. So I think now would actually be a good time to pause and to answer some questions that we've seen come in. So let me take a look here. We've seen a couple questions. First question. I noticed subsidiaries in multiple countries transacting in their native currency. Is this an add-on feature, or does it come automatically with NetSuite? Sheila, I'm going to turn that back over to you. Do you mind addressing this question?
Multi-company is available in NetSuite One World application. So you saw today the global financial consolidations across the multiple legal entities. And it's also the tool that we use today. So we actually demoed in the NetSuite One World, which is a consolidated view of financial accounting for software industry clients.
Okay. Let me see. Next question. We saw how NetSuite handles perpetual license and support revenue recognition. Does NetSuite handle other types of revenue recognition as well? Sheila, if you don't mind, I'm going to keep turning these over to you.
Sure. So we saw today the perpetual license and the support bundle, which is a couple different revenue streams in one bundle. But NetSuite does address subscription licenses. It covers usage-based maintenance and support, as we saw, professional services. In fact, the multi-user, multi-book functionality for the SaaS companies covers the new accounting standards updates quite well for ASU 2014-09. So there's a lot of capability there that we weren't able to demonstrate today due to time constraints, but it covers all of those.
Okay, thank you. One more question here, and then I think we'll have to close up in the interest of time. So I do ask that if there are follow-up questions, please reach out to us. We're happy to do another demo specific to your organization. But let's see, this last question here. My company has a requirement to capture costs at a project level. Does NetSuite offer project tracking? Sheila, you want to run with that as well?
NetSuite uses project records to organize the resources and time required to complete tasks for company projects. You can opt to use the basic projects feature to track projects for customers, including activity and time tracking. But clients also have the ability to have a more robust project capability with requirements based on their needs. That would actually be the NetSuite's SRP application. So that would be an add-on application for more robust project requirements.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kevin. And Kevin, if you don't mind closing us out for today.
Sure. Thanks, Amy. Thank you, Sheila. As a final message from me, I hope that in addition to the valuable information you've taken away from today's webinar, you've also come away with an understanding of the value that NeoSystems brings as a NetSuite solution provider and a potential future partner in your NetSuite journey. As you've seen, our knowledge extends past business management system capabilities to offer strategic advice on internal controls, accounting best practices, compliance regulations, and business process reengineering. We know you, know your challenges, and want to help you overcome them. We're looking to be your partner for life, to be much more than just your traditional get in and get out solution provider. That being said, we welcome the opportunity to continue this discussion, as Amy and Sheila have mentioned several times. So please reach out to Amy at 571-748-3832 or email us at netsuite@neosystemscorp.com so we can chat about the next steps towards a NetSuite solution with NeoSystems. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. This concludes our webinar.